Every day, thousands and thousands of people look from Portland or South Portland out to Casco Bay and admire the view. Part of what makes the view special is something you don't see anywhere else in Maine: a 19th century fort perched on a slab of ledge so small that at high tide it almost looks as if it's floating. This is Fort Gorges. And it's not easy to get to. The only way to reach the fort is by small boat, and the only time you can tie up is within a couple of hours of high tide.
And until we get a dock out here, this will be one of our challenges.
Because it's not easy to reach, this has long been one of Maine's most untouristy gems. Seen by hundreds of thousands of people, visited by just a fraction of them.
As much as Fort Gorges is on everyone's radar, we routinely meet people that have spent their whole lives in Portland. They've never been because they don't have access to a boat.
A reasonable guess is that in a non-COVID summer, about 8,000 people come to the fort, and the numbers are rising.
Absolutely, and mostly because of Instagram and Facebook. Everybody wants to visit this place.
When the fort was completed in 1865, it was already outdated, rendered obsolete by advances in naval guns. The city of Portland acquired the property in 1960, and a nonprofit group, Friends of Fort Gorges, is dedicated to keeping the fort accessible for future generations.
Watch your step on the floor here. There are old cannon track, the studs sticking out of the floor.
Friends of Fort Gorges has started a fundraising campaign with a goal of $500,000. If it succeeds, the city will kick in $250,000. All the money would go toward preservation and improved access. One goal is building more viewing platforms that would provide unmatched vistas of Casco Bay.
It is the premier spot in the bay for taking in the surroundings and looking back at the city.
The views are spectacular. What's also impressive are the acoustics in the fort, which Lee Ramsdell realized early on.
Yeah, probably my first adventure out here when I was 15 years old. Came out here and just walking around these casements and this stairway, you can just hear it.
He wasn't really singing at that point.
Pretty much you're just making sounds like whoo, ha, hee, ha, you know, or whistling, whatever. It's just fun to hear the echo.
Years later, Ramsdell started singing opera, and when visiting the fort with friends, he's been known to belt out an aria.
Amor Caliangeli, Caliangeli Pugna Vicina.
The hope is that one day the fort will be able to host concerts, plays, lectures, and more. But it has to be preserved.
You can see the cracks in the brick.
And as anyone who owns an old house knows, the maintenance never ends.
Although our tagline uses the word restoration and preservation, the Friends have no intention of fully restoring Fort Gorges unless a major foundation steps in with a big endowment. Restoration and preservation in this instance really means stabilizing and keeping it safe.
And that raises another issue: how to strike the right balance so the fort can welcome more visitors, but not so many that they love it to death.
If traffic ramped up to the point where it was just a constant barrage of boat traffic and foot traffic, it would take away from the experience. So when and if we get there, we'll have to figure out how to limit access so that it doesn't detract from the experience.
To truly appreciate the fort, people need to see it up close, walk around, touch the stone walls, take in the views from the top. The thinking is, once visitors experience the place, they'll be a lot more inclined to want to help save it.
Seeing a picture of it on Instagram or Facebook just doesn't do it justice. People don't feel invested until they come here. Once they come here and they see it, they get it.